Some 40 years ago, a bloody terror attack shook Moscow. A blast occurred at the Revolution Square metro station. As a result of the attack of Armenian nationalists, 7 people were killed and 37 were injured. On that fateful day at the metro, there were many children who were coming back with their parents from the New Year celebration. Nevertheless, as the history showed, such facts have never stopped Armenian terrorists. The first blast occurred at the Revolution Square metro station. The news about the terror act at Moscow's metro circulated across the Soviet Union. A few people then knew that on that day, on January 8, 1977, 2 more blasts occurred in Moscow. 2 grocery stores were blown up near the CPSU Central Committee and the USSR Committee of State Security. In accordance with the court verdict, 3 members of the National United Party of Armenia were found guilty. The main evidence was the arrows of the alarm clock of the Yerevan Clock Factory, used by terrorists as fuze in the bomb. The new additional pieces of evidence were obtained in October 1977. The same group arrived in the Kursk station, bought their tickets to the train Moscow-Yerevan, left the building, leaving a bag with the bomb in the waiting room. It was discovered by one of the passengers. After looking inside the bag and seeing wires in the clock mechanism, he informed the duty police service about the finding.
During 40 years since the terror attack was committed and the criminals were sentenced to death, at first Soviet dissidents and now Armenian nationalists are trying to justify their compatriots, claiming that they did not commit this terror attack, even though the guilt of the militants of the National United Party of Armenia was proved by the materials of the operational investigative activities, investigation and court documents.
Боевиков Национальной Объединенной партии Армении в совершении этой серии террористических актов.
As a result of the Operation Search Works conducted as part of the launched investigation, terrorists Akop Stepanyan and Zaven Bagdasaryan were detained. During the search in their apartment, investigators found the details of 37 new explosive devices. The criminals called Stepan Zatikyan the organizer of the terror attack. When he was a student, he created the clandestine National United Party of Armenia, spoke in favor of the republic's independence, and distributed leaflets with protests against the so-called Russian chauvinism. In the memoirs of head of the Operational Investigative Group of the USSR Committee of State Security, Major General Vadim Udilov, who led the identifying and capturing of Zatikyan and his accomplices, it said that First Secretary of Armenia's Central Committee of the Communist Party, Karen Demircyan, patronized the terrorists of the National United Party of Armenia. The sentence on the case of Zatikyan's terrorist group is a top secret. Russian historian and political scientist Oleg Kuznetsov is confident that the terrorism crimes don't have the period of limitations and shouldn't be kept silent about for some reasons. Therefore, Oleg Kuznetsov has made a petition to remove the title top secret from the materials of the case regarding the Armenian terrorists who blew up a van of the train at the Moscow metro station 40 years ago.
Армянские террористы из Национальной Объединенной партии.
The Armenian terrorists from the National United Party of Armenia acted not alone, but they had political patronage in Armenia's top echelons of power. For this very reason, I have made a petition and collected signatures under it in order to declassify the materials of this criminal case. And only in this case it will be possible to figure out not only the real scale of the involvement of real executors in this terror act, but also identify the people who facilitated this and protected them.
Armenian nationalists challenged the system, the law of the country and humankind by their actions. Later, the Armenians tried to justify the criminals, calling them fighters for independence. Throughout centuries, Armenian nationalists eradicated peaceful Azerbaijanis, women, children, and elderly people. Every time, the Armenians not only justified such actions, but also declared these criminals as national heroes, who are now represented in the high institutions of the country.